Welcome back, Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail meme review, the software releases, and the websites by plebes or plebs. Drop us a like, subscribe. We're going to the numbers, let's do it.
Number time!
At the time of this recording, the block height is 690,886, the Bitcoin price 32,600, chain rewrite days 1,175, total public lightning capacity 1,806.23, Bitcoin versus gold market cap 5.19, and sats per dollar 3,067. It's been a bumpy day.
But lightning capacity keeps going up.
Yep.
Because yesterday it was at 1,800, now it's at 1,806. Man, that's some bullish stuff. If it wasn't for that number, I would fuck Phil. Frozen in time.
Oh my gosh. I mean, just think that segment's boring already. Like now we'd have like nothing to talk about, right? Oh, so look, it's the same thing again. Well, dude, let's move to what's next.
Oh man. But hey, listen, at least Lightning, the fundamentals are getting stronger in the background. And dude, the longer we consolidate at these prices and the lower the volatility, that's usually a prelude to a big move either up or down, right? But let's see what happens. We don't like to speculate on this show. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the daily fail.
All right, let's see what you got. I'm excited.
Oh, you don't even know.
I don't.
Well, if you looked.
I never look. I always want to get excited.
Yes, this is another. So this is another tweet here from fellow Bitcoiner Corn DeLorean. Okay, but this one I was actually able to get to the original tweet. Right, he's saying, "Somebody please tell me this is all true." So here we go. Gravity. So they're a place to buy and sell Bitcoin. What happened over here? Our liquidity providers have just informed us that due to several large exchanges disabling BSV deposits and withdrawals, they are also suspending access to BSV liquidity until further notice. Yeesh. That was the actual piece of the news, right? And then somebody down here is mentioning someone decided to 51% attack BSV and do tremendous reorg since it has near zero hash power securing it. Sad to see that people were scammed into buying it get hurt. It's kind of a...
Why don't we take a look at the hash rate, Phil?
You know what? Let's take a look at the hash rate. Now keep in mind, I had to, well, you'll see my screen. Okay. So I had to zoom in like probably, what is it, like 175%. Just to be able to show you guys. I don't know if everybody can see this, but let's take a look. So what you see up here, this blue line, this is BTC. Okay, this adoption, right? People putting in money, buying miners, right? Putting in their time, their value into building and maintaining the network and mining. What you see over here, this red line that, is dead flat, going nowhere.
It's actually going down.
Yeah, it's actually going down. That's the BSV hash rate.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, look, you know what? We've been saying this for how long? And I know, we're going to get some haters, because they sit there and like it's somewhere deep inside their mind they want to pretend, that somehow BSV might just be the real Bitcoin because a whole bunch of weird people say it is. But it's not.
No, man.
It just isn't. It's a fork of a fork.
Fuck the haters, man. Fuck the haters. They said I remember reading this word for word.
Look,
hash rate is not that important.
No one is securing it.
What the fuck are you talking about, man? Hash rate is everything. Hash rate is the computational power that's backing up the network, right? Meaning that if you wanted to attack said network, you would either have to match or come close to that hash rate in order to even successfully double spend or reorganize the chain, right? You see Bitcoins, it's literally gone exponential. And even after the China banning all the mining, with 90% of the mining in the country, now you're starting to see the recovery, right? So it's like, man, these people are insane. Open your fucking eyes. Your shit is garbage. You've been peddled a shitcoin. And listen, That's okay. There's no problem with that. Phil and I have gone through a shitcoin phase. Most Bitcoiners go through shitcoin phases. That's okay. That's the price of tuition. And let this be a lesson, man. Hash rate is very important, and the Bitcoin hash rate is the highest by magnitudes of hundreds compared to all the rest of the chains. And the most important part of a cryptocurrency is the decentralization and the immutability. And Bitcoin's is like nothing even comes close, right? So yeah, man.
Yeah.
BSV. CSW, get wrecked, have fun staying poor, because that's definitely what's going on.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh my God, dude! But it's like, dude, we told you so. I remember.
100%. And just wait, like this thing is falling apart in real time. Okay, like people may see this and be like, well, that's okay. You know, it'll recover. Other exchanges have delisted it. Okay, like I think it's listed on a total of like 8 exchanges at this point. Not that even makes a difference, but the real point is that this thing is cratering in real time. There is zero adoption. The hash rate proves it. Okay, the hash rate proves that no one is willing. If you ask me, that is a zombie hash rate. That is somebody or a group of people that are simply keeping the lights on.
And not only that, it's dangerous to exchanges to list this, because you're listing a coin that could potentially be double spent. Right, so you could be if you 51% attack BSV, right, and you double spend, you deposit coins onto the exchange, you sell them for actual sound money, Bitcoin, right? You withdraw that, and then you deposit the same coins back into the exchange. A double spend. It's a risk for the exchanges. And in BSV's hash rate has gotten to the point right now that you could rent out a sufficient amount of hash rate in order to successfully attack the chain. This is exactly what we've been saying was going to happen. This is exactly what is happening. BSV is falling apart. If you're a bag holder, we're sorry. We told you so. We warned you so. We warned that this was going to happen. And listen, it's okay. Just buy Bitcoin. You'll be all right. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the daily meme review.
All right, everybody. I got 2 legendary memes we want to review today. One from Greg Zag, definitely a fellow meme lord. Let's check it out. Sign up to buy your coin on Strike with 0 fees. Plebs don't let friends shitcoin. Very good. And of course, I wanted to review this meme because Forza Italia won the Euro Cup. Right? So this was, the famous meme of one of the Italian players pushing back one of the English players. Anyways, let's check out the tweet. The meme by RD. 35K, 32K, right? And this is exactly what we've been talking about. We've been stuck in this, in purgatory, essentially, stuck at the same level for I don't know how long. But for those excellent memes, I'm going to give it this nerd score of Geralt of Rivia, The Witcher. I put him on.
What that is?
I put him on my shelf. He has they have a Netflix show, and they made The Witcher 3, which is a really good video game. I'm a nerd, so I like video games. Anyways, Phil, what are you gonna give it?
Sweet. Well, you know what? There's all different kinds of nerds, right? And you know what? Great memes. Found them both funny. You know what? The one that Greg did though, like they redid like 50 times into all these different ones. It was absolutely hilarious. And you know what? For that, I'm gonna give it something. It's a Burton sticker. It's Ride On Jake Burton, who created Burton Snowboards, and it's a sticker.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. That's the guy that created Burton?
Yep.
Dude.
Jake Burton. And anyways, he passed away, but like his company, I mean, for anybody that ever, rode growing up, it's still extremely popular.
Of course it is. It's one of the biggest snowboarding companies there is.
Absolutely. And like that was like my first board as well. Like my first was like a Burton 5.1.
Well, that's
Air,
awesome,
Burton Air
dude.
5.1.
Throwback. Okay. Well,
Big time.
excellent scores for an excellent meme. I guess a thing of Geralt of Rivia and a Jake Burden sticker. But anyways, guys, we want to know, do you agree with our memes? Do you disagree? Rate the meme down in the comments. And of course, join our Telegram group. Give us more memes to review. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
The Daily News, sponsored by...
Do feel free to visit at any time to clarify any rumour you may hear. covid19.govt.nz. Otherwise, dismiss anything else. We will continue to be your single source of truth. We will provide information. So I continue to share the message. New Zealanders must prepare, but do not panic. Prepare. And when you see those messages, remember that unless you hear it from us, it is not the truth. Remember that unless you hear it from us, it is not the truth. Remember that unless you hear it from us, it is not the truth.
The Great Awakening is upon us. The Matrix is breaking. The mainstream media, they're having a full meltdown. Their control on information is dying. Anyways, let's check out this tweet that I said a couple days ago. Mainstream media is the fiat propaganda arm. They're directly responsible for wars, political misinformation, social unrest, unnecessary medical deaths, etc. Social media disintermediated them, and most of us have woken up from their psyop. Now, anyone with a camera and microphone could do what they do, but unlike them, most of us are not beholden to any masters. Even though we lack the production value and support from the establishment, we could be honest and sincere. Now, here's the part that I want you guys to pay attention to. The truth is dangerous to the elites that are used to having a total monopoly on information. They can no longer control the narrative, which is why they have resorted to censorship, canceling, and fact-checking. All right, and let's see how that's going, right? This is an opinion piece from the New York Times, right? Again, one of these institutions that is used to having a total monopoly on information, right? They supported the Iraq war back in the 1920s, right? There was a very famous New York Times journalist that essentially covered up, the atrocities that Stalin was doing on his own people, right? He was covering up, the famine that was going on in the Ukraine. That was the New York Times themselves, right? Now they're being disintermediated by social media, specifically in this case, Substack, which is kind of like YouTube, but for YouTube, it's content and video creators. But what were you gonna say, Phil?
So I was no, just quickly. So what does that tell us, right? That they're being disintermediated by Substack because journalists are going there, not to be censored.
Exactly. And that's my point. I'm glad that you picked that up, Phil, because check this out. One of the most well-respected journalists that broke the story on Snowden, right? The journalist who broke Snowden's story, right? The famous, he was featured in the movie Snowden, and he is Glenn Greenwald, right? And again, he resigned from the Intercept, which was a well-respected publication, I think in the UK, right? And he left. He left mainstream media again because of the censorship. And just to read a quote from his resignation letter, the final precipitating cause is that the Intercept's editors, in violation of my contractual right of editorial freedom, censored an article I wrote this week, refusing to publish it unless I remove all sections critical of Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden, the candidate vehemently supported by all New York-based Intercept editors involved in this effort at suppression, right? And this is exactly what the New York Times is bitching about. And they even say, is the rise of the Substack economy bad for democracy, right? No, it's not bad for democracy.
It's great.
It's great for democracy, and it's very, very bad
It's needed.
It's very, very bad for the New York Times. It's very, very bad for the New York Times. It's very, very bad for CNN. It's very, very bad for CNBC. And you see this in their rating numbers. They've fallen 75 to 80% since the Orange Man Bad has been out of office, right? You can only lie for so long, right? And when they had a monopoly on information, there was no way to get a dissenting opinion, right? But now the rise of independent content creators because of social media has allowed the truth to come out. And Phil, is the truth coming out? They can no longer fucking hide it. Guess what was trending on Twitter today? The top thing. What does that say, Phil? What does that say?
Inflation,
right?
Oh,
but again, these people are used to having a monopoly on information. So this is why they released this crazy propaganda that we covered a couple of weeks ago, saying, hey, listen, we've saved you 16 cents since last year. You know, again, this is anti-inflation propaganda released by, the White House. And this would have been acceptable 10, 20 years ago because they had a total monopoly on information. But again, social media is disintermediating that. And now they can no longer ignore it. Now, mainstream media article publications, specifically financial publications, are being forced to report the truth about what's actually going on. Inflation climbs higher than expected in June as price index rises 5.4%. Excluding food and energy, inflation increased 4.5%, the largest move since September 1991. Consumer prices increased 5.4% in June from a year earlier, the biggest monthly gain since August 2008, right? So again, dude, it's crazy what's happening, right? Because we're not only witnessing the disintermediation of money, but we're also witnessing the disintermediation of information, and it's fucking chaotic, right? Because you have the gatekeepers, which is a word that I love that you use, Phil, the gatekeepers of money, but you also have the gatekeepers of information, but they're no longer the gatekeepers anymore. People could just go around them. They don't have to rely on these reliable sources. And I think I tweeted this a couple weeks ago. A blue check mark tells me that I should trust you less, not trust you more, right? So yeah, man, it's just crazy to witness this. What a time to be alive. And again, if you're in Bitcoin and you see those inflation articles, it's okay. Anyways, Phil.
You know what? Like, it's interesting as you're going, through this, you're talking about the disintermediation. I'm thinking, I remember a time, right, before the internet, I remember a time before, before essentially all of this, right? Like, before cell phones, like all of this stuff. And it was difficult, right? It was difficult even like, before Amazon, even like, it was difficult to go and get items. Like now you can get anything almost from anywhere, right? Like the internet has opened up everything. And it completely just threw everybody, everybody in the traditional spaces for a loop. And essentially that's what Bitcoin is doing in the same way. But because it affects something like, I think that, the internet affected, right, communication specifically, but Bitcoin affects our transmission of value, and the transmission of value is very, very close to us. Like this is something that we have done from the beginning of time. We have sought ways to transmit value, securely, something that people will accept. And this is something that's very close, like it's near and dear to us. So I think it's totally gonna cause the disintermediation of, almost everything we see.
Almost everything. And for the better, man, for the better. The centralization is better. Individuals making their own decisions on what information to and what information not to consume should be left to the individual to decide, not these crazy entitled institutions. I just read you the headline. Substack, it's bad for democracy. Like these are psychopaths, right? But anyways, look, some on a more positive note, check out this amazing picture, Phil. A Tibetan woman holding Bitmain crypto mining power supplies that almost look like a bunch of flowers. Check that out. Super cool. And again, this is just one small image of, one small little, like a little snippet of what's going on. And of course, that is the great migration from China, because the Chinese government decided to ban Bitcoin mining. Up to 90% of Bitcoin mining in China has already been shut down, and Chinese miners are scrambling to move overseas as quick as possible. We know for a fact that the majority of them are going to Texas and Kazakhstan. But anyways, let's check out this article by Wolfie Zhao from The Block. Chinese Bitcoin miner Bit Mining raises $50 million to move overseas. Now, I would just like to point out, right? If people were bearish, okay, this is smart money, okay? If people were bearish on Bitcoin, would they give a Bitcoin mining company $50 million to move overseas? They would not. Okay, but anyways, to continue reading the article, Bit Mining has raised $50 million less than a month after its 400 megawatt facilities in China were shut down. So investors are so bullish on Bitcoin, even after their 400. I'm telling you, that is a massive fucking facility, okay? The facility that I mine in South Carolina, it's 10 megawatts, and that's a lot of fucking electricity. 400 megawatts is like, man, it's a goddamn fucking warehouse, okay? So this is very, very positive news, right? Bit Mining, which is headquartered in Shenzhen, formerly known as 500.com, said it plans to use the net proceeds to acquire additional mining machines, build new data centers overseas, expand its infrastructure, and improve its working capital position. Right. So again, it's a continuation of the great migration, the great ASIC migration of 2021, right? Decentralizing the hash rate in the process. It's beautiful to see. No council, no central authority is telling these people to do it. They're doing it all by themselves because of the incentive structure of Bitcoin. And Satoshi is a fucking genius because of it. Anyways, Phil.
Was anyone really afraid? I mean, like, who isn't? Don't get me wrong, but when I heard the news about China, like, I just didn't give a shit. Like, for me, it's their loss. And look at what we're seeing, right? Like, the stuff is moving all over the place. Like you were showing that lady in Tibet, like holding like the ASIC, what are they? The power supplies?
The power supplies, yeah.
Yeah, like, man, it's kind of poetic. It's kind of interesting,
right? I see that image and I see hope. I see hope,
right?
Dude. I see hope. I'm like, dude, she's holding freedom, right? She's holding this freedom in her hands, and she's just, and it's crazy that everyone's just doing it on their own, man. Like, there's no one telling them to do anything. Everyone's just like, I want some of that corn. I want some of that corn,
People cooperate when they're incentivized to. So check this out, right? We're currently not incentivized to cooperate. We're currently incentivized to compete with each other, but not really compete with each other in the correct spirit. So Bitcoin offers that incentive model. You can still cooperate and compete, but guess what? We can also help everyone while we do this.
And I completely agree, Phil. Amen. And it's absolutely freaking gorgeous. But anyways, Phil, there was a hardware wallet release announcement. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Hardware wallet releases. Okay, so it looks like we've got Square committing to build a Bitcoin hardware wallet. That's pretty cool. It's down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Yeah, and I also heard the device will be open source, it will support multi-sig, and it will prioritize mobile use. But anyway, I don't trust Jack, to be honest. But anyways, listen, more hardware wallet manufacturers, the better. Competition is a good thing because it just makes everyone else's product better, right? But guys, you know what to do. If you enjoyed the episode, smash that like button, smash it! And of course, if you want to continue hearing the Bitcoin news from the pleep-plep perspective and the catastrophic fiat and shitcoin fails, definitely consider subscribing, and we'll see you tomorrow for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.
BSV will never be Bitcoin.